Hello and welcome back to This Last Moment. I hope everyone is doing groovily. Today I am talking to you about cookbooks. So I did a video a few months ago, actually it might be nearly a year ago, about my cookbook collection, and since then I have bought, I think it's about 5 new books. I mean, cooking is my hobby basically, so that's why there are so many. Of the ones that I had last year, some of them I've stopped using, and I will probably end up covering the ones that I'm not using while I'm talking about my new ones. But yeah, it just seemed like a good time to sit down and tell you about the books that I'm loving. And of course, because it's me, I'll also be honest about the ones that don't necessarily tickle my fancy. They don't tickle my taste buds, shall we say. Without further ado, let's get to it. So I'm gonna try and go in order of preference. So the first book that I'm going to mention is Madeline Shaw's Ready, Steady, Glow. If you watched my last video, you'll know already that I had, I think it's, I'm gonna forget the name, but I'll put the name of her original book here. I used that a lot to start off with. I kind of fell out of using that one just because there were so many meat things, and especially with this book I found that there were just quite a few flavour combinations that weren't really to my taste. I like the idea that she has a fast section with recipes that are really quick and a slow section with ones that are kind of more time intensive for the weekend. But I will be honest, the recipes that I tried from this book really was not a fan of. There was one that had a lot of fruit in a savoury dish, and I tried it to try something new and it wasn't for me. I think if you eat meat, probably you get on with it much more. And also if you are not a super confident cook, I think this is a good book to kind of guide you in. But yeah, if you're like me and a vegan, this may not be as helpful as some of the other things on this list. My next book is Eat Smart by Naomi Smart. I've never watched her videos regularly. I think I've kind of like dipped in and dipped out. So I didn't actually know that she was as into her food as she is. I picked this up because it's a plant-based recipe book, so everything in here is suitable for vegans. I think she does include maybe honey, but also tells you how you can swap things out. So yeah, I was very excited about this. It's beautiful, very, very gorgeously shot. The visuals and everything are absolutely stunning. But for me, it's a little bit like Deliciously Ella in some regards, in that it's very, very simple cooking, simple recipes, simple spices, and I'm a bit more adventurous than perhaps some of these recipes allow you to be. I liked her breakfast ideas, I think I'll come back to them, and there is a banana bread recipe that I use quite a lot in here, but by and large of the rest of it, it was just not as exciting as I thought it was going to be. And yeah, I just found it a little bit less helpful. There's quite a big section at the front talking about health foods and things like that that I'm really trying to steer clear of. I personally don't enjoy reading that sort of thing. I think it gets me into quite an unhealthy headspace. So for me, all of that section is just a big skip. But yeah, I do think if you like Deliciously Ella and Deliciously Ella Every Day, then this is probably going to be your thing. For me, relative to the other books that I have here, this just isn't my favourite. Next up, I have 2 books that I haven't yet properly used, but I really wanted to talk about anyway. The first one is the Middle Eastern Vegetarian Cookbook. Even though it is vegetarian, it actually marks out really clearly if a recipe is vegan or not, and there's a huge array that are either already vegan or easy to switch into making vegan. I just think the visuals of this book are incredible. It looks so tasty. Just every recipe has major visual appeal. And yeah, I can't wait to get started. There is a crepe, like a thin pancake recipe that I really want to try, because the vegan pancakes that I've made so far have all been kind of the thicker, puffier sort of looking pancake. And also the dips and the meze ideas look out of this world. I have a feeling that come the summer I'll be cooking with this a lot more, but I'm still really excited to sink my teeth into it and see what I can come up with from this. It just looks amazing. Then another book that I got recently and have yet to cook with is Isa Does It by Isa Chandra Moskowitz. Basically, I was recommended this by the lovely Siobhan, who I think I mention all the time because I do love her. Hey Siobhan. But she has been vegan for far longer than my humble 6 months, and this is the cookbook that every time I have asked her about recipes she's mentioned this. It has a lot of tofu, and I have steered very, very clear of tofu since I transitioned to being veggie, but I would quite like to branch out and learn how to cook it in an appetising way rather than in a spongy bland kind of way, which has been my experience with tofu thus far. It's quite a quirky layout and kind of visual style, and I really like, you know how I feel about chapters and how things are organised. This is organised in a responsible manner in my eyes. I can't wait to get experimenting with it basically. I think this is going to be really, really handy. It's quite a big chunky book. The only criticism that I would have for it thus far is that the measurements are in American measurements. There's no conversion on each recipe saying grams next to it, which is a bit annoying, but I'm sure I will learn to work around it. And not that anyone from the publishing team behind this book is likely to be watching this, but if they are and they could release an edition with grams, I think everyone in the UK would thank you very warmly for that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to cooking with this one. I've saved my favourite for last. This is My New Roots by Sarah Britton. She, I think, is an American cook who lives maybe in Denmark. I'll put the right place here. And this is another vegetarian cookbook that is rife with vegan options. It's laid out in terms of seasons, so I am at the moment using mainly the winter and the autumn recipes. I have therefore tried only a few of these, having bought this in autumn, but of the ones I've tried, I have had mostly a resounding success. There was one pumpkin dish that we weren't sure if we liked or we disliked, but there are plenty that I come to week after week and are just really handy. She's really thorough, the flavours are really interesting and different, and it's challenging but still accessible. I think if you like Anna Jones, then this would be the next book I would recommend for you, because I think they both have a similar level of technicality. As with any of the recipes that I've tried, I will write the link for each book and then also give you the recipes, the recipes that I've cooked with, so that when you come to get it you have an idea of which ones to try. P.S. before I go, this one is the most beautifully shot one of the bunch in my opinion. I think Sarah does her own photography as far as I can tell, and the styling and everything is really, really heavenly, so definitely pick this up if that is your kind of thing. And there we go, that is my cookbook collection update. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I want to say thank you, and feel free to subscribe and to like, all of that jazz, and I will see you again very, very soon.